Spectators began lining up outside the NASDAQ stock exchange in New York City's Times Square.
One of the most highly anticipated IPOs in history.
I don't know that anybody has a handle on where Facebook should be trading.
The question isn't just about Facebook as a company.
Getting tremendous investor appetite. Facebook is valued at $104 billion. One of the largest initial public offerings in U.S. history.
At the end of the first day of the Facebook IPO, based on the confirmations I received from my brokerage, I believed I did not own any stock. The message said my order had expired at the end of the trading day. At the end of the day, all the funds that they had set aside to purchase the stock had been returned to my account. I got the shares 5 days later with no ability to manage the position, no ability to put a stop loss, and no knowledge of me even having the shares. A 30% loss turned into a 120% loss, and I basically went from 40 to minus 5,000 in one day.
Your visionary, your founder, your leader, Mark, please come to the podium.
The Facebook IPO was one of the biggest things to hit Wall Street in decades. It was a huge deal, a very, very large IPO on the US market, a very well-known company, more than 900 million users around the world. And there were a lot of investment banks, Wall Street firms with big names that have been working on this. Everybody wanted a piece of the action, small investors, big investors, and the banks were really trying to drum up interest for this company. And then disaster struck.
I just want to say a few things, and then we'll ring this bell and we'll get back to work.
IPOs have for long had a great allure to individual investors. They have a sort of a home run feel to them. You could have a big pop on the first day of trading, or even just over time, that the idea that you'd be often getting in on something of a ground floor in a company and getting to see it grow if you stick with the stock for a long time. With Facebook, it really filled that old investing chestnut of buy what you know, because, of course, hundreds of millions of people know Facebook.
The feeding frenzy that was basically surrounding the Facebook offering prior to the actual pricing showed that the stock could have been a double or a triple. Everybody had one concern, and that was, where can I get more shares in Facebook?
Insiders were cashing out, employees were cashing out, venture investors were cashing out. The smart money was selling. And what the public was clamoring for was to basically ring the register for everybody else.
Our mission isn't to be a public company. Our mission is to make the world more open and connected.
Just ahead of the offering, Facebook and its bankers decided to raise the size of the offering by 25%, asking more of its early investors to sell more of their shares. So the offering grew substantially, and at the very same time, they raised the price range and set the price at the very top end of this already higher price range.
So, on this special day, on behalf of everyone at Facebook, I just want to say to all the people out there who use Facebook and our products, thank you.
I live on the West Coast, so the market opens at 6:30 a.m. So I set my alarm for 6 a.m. and got up specifically for the IPO.
So let's do this.
When I logged into my brokerage account, I put in a limit order, and the stock didn't open, and they said they had to delay another 5 minutes. That 5-minute deadline came and went, and the stock didn't open as they had stated it.
The problem was NASDAQ attempted to do a continuous cross. And all that means is that they were accepting orders right up until the instant, the millisecond, before the time that they tried to come up with the IPO opening price. There was such an influx of orders, such a high volume of orders. When they went to do the cross, the book or the orders were changing, and it was so intense that they got into what they call a continuous loop problem.
Nasdaq has acknowledged that there was a big software problem and they vowed to remedy that. The interesting thing was that Nasdaq said they stress test this particular IPO in laboratory type conditions hundreds of times, and yet still the software gave way at the most important moment.
I was refreshing my screen constantly and my trade didn't go through, and I was already seeing on Twitter that the stock had opened at 42. And it was strange because my order hadn't filled. And after 9 minutes of being unfilled, I got a little uncomfortable. And so I put in a cancellation order. Around lunchtime, I checked and saw the stock had dropped and thought it was a blessing in disguise that I didn't get my shares. And then when I got confirmation at the end of the day that my order had expired unfilled, I thought it was a good thing because the stock had actually dropped from 42 to 38 by the end of the day. So Wednesday morning, as I was getting up, I was checking my email and I received an email, not even a phone call, saying that I was due a significant amount of money. It was a margin call. And I thought it was strange because I didn't have any big positions that should have been called. So I checked my account. I saw something I'd never seen before. It actually had gone negative. My jaw dropped. I looked down and I saw that the Facebook shares had been placed into my account. I immediately called my broker and asked them what had happened, and they just blamed the Nasdaq delays for the delay in receiving my Facebook shares.
Not getting a trade confirmation. Certainly traders can be long and lose money. They can be short and lose money when the stock goes up. The worst condition is not knowing your position.
Nasdaq has pledged to give a compensation package to the brokers that traded during the Facebook IPO. The package is worth around $40 million, but it's not all in cash. Most of it will come through discounts that the brokers will get in order to trade on Nasdaq. It's very difficult to see how the $40 million that Nasdaq pledged is going to trickle down to the retail investors who suffered because of the problems during the Facebook IPO.
Nasdaq actually is known across the industry for having some of the best technology. Now with Facebook, certainly Facebook was a black eye because it was such high profile, so many investors, so much of the public attention was pointed at it. Again, they have great technology, but when you do have a glitch in such a high profile case like Facebook, people now are going to question their technology.
So the question is, now that you made the big plunge as an individual investor into Facebook, are you going to look at another IPO offering? Probably most people will say no because of a high degree of distrust for the entire system.
There's an old expression about IPOs on Wall Street, and it simply says this: if you can't get it, you want it, and if you can get it, you sure as hell don't want it. That's what happened with Facebook. There was enough to go around for everyone, which means there's too much supply, not enough demand, and when that happens, there's only one place for the stock price to go, and that's down.
The Facebook IPO was supposed to be a big moment for Wall Street, the moment in which the most sophisticated financial markets in the world came together to help a big company raise a lot of money from a lot of investors. The lasting consequence of this will be that retail investors will further lose confidence in a market that has disappointed them so many times before.
So many people from all different parts of the market have failed. In one word, I would have to sum it up as a debacle.